Welcome. I am doing part 5, episode 5 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus show by request. It's been a long time since it came out, but time flies to me. I should have done it long ago, but I'm shackled by you. By you. So, this was, I believe, directed again by Deborah Chow. Written by Joby Harold and Andrew Stanton. Neither of these people I've heard before. But this was another disappointing episode for me. I have no notes for this. Usually I did write notes a year ago, but I am filming on my phone, and that's where my notes are on, and I cannot read it and film at the same time. So I just have to do my best, what I remember from a year ago. Maybe I can do an in-depth analysis one day if I wish to torture myself. But, so, I'm reading from the Wikipedia summary what happened. Vader reflects on lightsaber training he had with Kenobi prior to the Clone Wars, as he tracks the path network to Jabim. I don't remember Jabim, but that's a place, apparently. So yes, I remember this is how the episode started. Vader is on a Star Destroyer. Looks terrible, by the way, the blue screen effect of space. Space looks terrible in this series. It looks like it was made in the 60s or something. I think the original movie, space, was much more believable. But it opens up with, from Attack of the Clones era, Obi-Wan with his long hair, and Anakin, who's supposed to be around 20, and apparently they used a de-aging effect on Anakin, but it did not have the intended effect, I'm afraid to say. He did not look as he looked in Attack of the Clones. He looked about at least 22 years older. I mean, it just looked like the modern day him plastered on the old him. And you know, he has the same hairstyle, the same beads, the Jedi apprentice beads. I think Obi-Wan looked alright, probably because he was older at the time of Attack of the Clones, so he doesn't look so different yet. But, I mean, there was probably some difference, but his was a lot more feasible. Anakin was so distracting. He did not look 20. He looked at least a decade out of place. So that was a failure there. So basically, this episode was it was referencing their duel, they had a practice duel during this era, this opening scene from the Attack of the Clones era. And they kept on referencing their sort of style of attack and defend. And it comes into play at the end of the episode during the present day tactics of Vader and Obi-Wan. And I have no idea how exactly, because I've forgotten it from a year ago, but I just got the request today from Matilda Gothica, my golden moonchin, to continue with this. And I happen to have some time, as she was telling me, so I'm here. But I remember thinking it's very forced what they did, and very simple what they did. Because Anakin acted a certain way when they were 20, that means Obi-Wan knows how he's going to act now, 20 years later, or 10 years later, as an evil Darth Sith, which doesn't make sense to me. But it was also something very simple, like attacking or, just being too reckless. And it was just kind of cheap, I felt. But if you're so interested, you can see the episode. So, yes, Vader promotes Reva to Grand Inquisitor. I don't remember why he did that exactly. To be honest, I have no idea why he did that. I think it's because... why? Oh, because she had a tracker on Obi-Wan's ship the last episode. Somehow she had a tracker. I don't know how she knew that, how he was here or there. There was a tracker somehow. They never explained how she would know to put a tracker on the ship, but that's what happened. And now she's Grand Inquisitor, even though Vader almost killed her last episode. But he spared her, sadly, the worst character perhaps in all of Star Wars history, and that's a tight contest indeed. But I genuinely think this Reva character is probably the worst major character. Reva leads a siege on the Path facility, deactivating its escape doors. Well, I have no memory of this, but I do remember Reva and her army of stormtroopers approaching the front door. And it was the craziest stormtrooper missing scene you've ever seen. It's the craziest scene of stormtroopers missing ever. And I know they have a reputation of always missing, but this was an entire army facing the rebels straight on. They were completely parallel, completely overwhelmed by stormtrooper. They came all the way up to their faces practically, still missing every shot. It was ridiculous, to say the least. To stall for time, Kenobi speaks with Reva and deduces that she knows Vader's true identity from witnessing his massacre at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant when she was a youngling. Everything new that we learn about Reva just makes her worse and worse and worse and worse. So this was when the big twist was revealed about Reva. Because up till now we knew she had an interest in Kenobi. So I assumed, maybe Kenobi killed her father at some point. And that's why she wants revenge. But no, apparently she was a youngling during Order 66. And she got stabbed by Anakin. She got stabbed by Anakin and survived somehow. That's her backstory. This mysterious person who has a grievance, desperate to hunt down Obi-Wan. She was stabbed by Anakin as a child and somehow survived. And the twist is she wants Obi-Wan so she can hand him into Vader, so she can kill Vader somehow. That's her motivation. She's an Inquisitor who hunts Jedi. And her goal is to honor the Jedi who were killed by Vader. Even though her job is to kill Jedi. But she's so mad Jedi were killed that she wants to kill Anakin, Darth Vader, by handing in Obi-Wan to Darth Vader. It's absolutely bonkers! Absolutely unbelievable. This is why I say she is the worst character ever in Star Wars history. Nothing about her makes any sense. So, basically, she was like, where were you, Obi-Wan, when we were dying? And Obi-Wan doesn't respond at all. Not very good sticking up for himself in court. So yes, somehow she knows Vader's identity, but it never really said how. She saw Anakin in the temple, but how did she know exactly? I guess it's not that much of a leap, since she saw Anakin, and I guess she knew who Anakin was at some point. Perhaps. Maybe she saw him in the temple walking by while they were all friends. But why does no one else seem to know this? Well, maybe that's the least of the show's problems, for sure. She reveals she wanted to gain Vader's favor to kill him for revenge. So she had to go through this whole ordeal of kidnapping Leia to draw out Kenobi, just intending to capture Kenobi to bring him to Vader. You'd think she would have some access to Vader already. I mean, she's already met Vader in the series multiple occasions. Why does she need specifically to bring in Kenobi to try to assassinate Darth Vader when she's already met him? Although she did only meet him because of this whole series of events, but I would have assumed the Inquisitors would have met the Sith at some point for training or, clearly they had some communication with Vader. So I don't know why it was such a rare thing that she needed to bring Kenobi to fight Vader. She couldn't just go hunting him down somehow by her own, determination. No, very convoluted. The facility is then breached in that crazy swarming way I explained earlier, where they couldn't shoot anything. With Tala, Tala, the woman. I could not have told you that woman's name until I just read her name is Tala. She sacrificed herself to save Kenobi. And as all sacrifices in films, they are usually very terrible and avoidable and silly. And she had a bomb and she blew herself up instead of throwing it at the bad guy. She didn't really try very hard to take them out. But okay. Realizing they cannot win, Kenobi surrenders and is taken to Reva. Usually also very avoidable, but I don't remember much of that circumstance. He convinces Reva to kill Vader when she delivers Kenobi, and this was one of the weirdest twisty things. Because, yes, it wasn't really made clear whether Obi-Wan escaped on his own or whether Reva allowed him to escape, because it never showed whether they agreed to this or not. And when he does escape, Reva and Vader are left alone. But the weird thing is, all of those rebels plus Obi-Wan ran away. And I know Vader was after them all, but he's not invincible. Obi-Wan has faced him multiple times, even though the last time didn't go so great. Plus, they have Reva this time, but it's so bizarre. You would have thought Obi-Wan plus all the rebels alone could have fought Vader. I mean, Vader just went rushing ahead of everyone. He was in such a rage to capture Kenobi. He didn't even care about his stormtroopers. He just went running in himself up ahead. But if the plan was for Reva to let Obi-Wan go so they can both fight Vader, why did Obi-Wan leave her alone? He just ran off with all the rebels. And it was just Vader versus Reva. And of course Vader completely owned Reva. in a very clunky and awkward fight where he's holding out his hand and stopping her lightsaber with the Force in a way we've never seen before on screen. And I don't get it. Why can't he do that to Obi-Wan? Why can't Obi-Wan do that to Vader? Why have we never seen that before? So it was an awkward fight. Reva was rolling around for some reason, which Obi-Wan does a lot of in the next fight, next episode. And, oh yes, the superpower. The Force abilities have no consistency at all across all the films and series. It has no canon at this point. The Force abilities, how powerful, what they can do. It's absolutely mess. And somehow Vader can now freeze an entire ship as it's taking off with his hand. Force ability. This is the ship where Obi-Wan and the rebels are flying off in. And he brings it down to the ground and smashes open the door. But no one was inside because then the next second another ship flies off right next to it. So they were there in another ship. And then Vader just watches it fly away. And this time doesn't bother with his Force abilities for some reason. And this is when Reva comes in to try and stab him from behind, going, "Ah!" just to give him a lot of heads up what she's about to do. And this is the first time where his Force ability stops her lightsaber. And I don't know if he even uses his hand at this point. I think he's not even moving. He's just able to, with his back turned, stop his lightsaber from piercing him. And that's when we get the weird fight. And then it's revealed that Vader knew all along who Reva was. And that's absolute nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense that Vader would know who she was the entire time and just mess her around for what? I don't even know why they chose the choice over and over and over again. Crazy choices in this series. So Reva uses this opportunity to try to kill Vader, but is quickly overpowered after a brief duel and stabbed. Yes, she was stabbed. And guess what? When she is stabbed, the original Grand Inquisitor appears out of nowhere. I don't know if you remember the Grand Inquisitor, but he was killed by Reva, I think in the second or third episode. Pretty early on. The episode just before when she's telling Obi-Wan that Anakin is still alive and is called Vader. And the Grand Inquisitor comes along and basically tells her to get out of his way, and then she stabs him for no good reason. And then Obi-Wan escapes. This was episode, I think, 2 or 3. And now he's back. He hasn't been in the series for 4 episodes or 3. It's only 6 episodes long, this series. And now he's back, and he basically just is smug, and he basically says that the revenge keeps you alive or something. And I think he was referring to Reva's revenge, wanting revenge against Vader. And then they just leave her there while she's still alive. And right after he said about revenge keeping you alive, and already knowing that she survived being stabbed by Vader as a child. So that's what this series is for some reason. Nothing makes sense. There's no consistency. People can be stabbed and survived, and stabbed and survived, and stabbed and survived. And what's the point of this Inquisitor? We've not seen him duel anybody. What's the point of the other Inquisitor? There's another two Inquisitors, the woman and the guy who looks like he's from Mortal Kombat. They don't do anything except get stabbed and come back from the dead a few episodes later. And the other two don't even do that. They just sit around scowling, or stood around, or walking around. No, they don't. I don't even remember if we see their lightsabers. I thought the whole point of having these Inquisitors was so Obi-Wan would have someone to fight that is not Vader. But insanely, Obi-Wan fights Vader not just once in the series, but twice. And he doesn't fight any of the other Inquisitors, not even one time. That's insane. Who decided to have 4 Inquisitors? And none of them have a duel with Obi-Wan. But one of them has a duel with Vader. Why is everyone dueling Vader over and over and over? It makes no sense, because I thought the whole point was that obviously Vader can't be in it much. Obviously he can't have a duel with Obi-Wan, but he had 2 with Obi-Wan and 1 with Reva. I don't know who wrote this. Actually, I do. It says right here. It's Joby, Harold, and Andrew Stanton. Only Andrew Stanton has a link on Wikipedia. Apparently, he's a filmmaker and voice actor based at Pixar, which he joined in 1990. His film work includes co-writing and co-directing Pixar's A Bug's Life. That's a good film, as I recall. Directing Finding Nemo and its sequel Finding Dory. I think everyone's forgotten Finding Dory, but Finding Nemo is, yes. And WALL-E! So he does actually have some good acolytes under his belt. Maybe it was Joby Harold bringing him down. I don't know. But yes. I don't think this is on the same writing as anything I've ever witnessed. She is left for dead as the original Grand Inquisitor arrives to reaffirm his status. As the Path Network escapes, Reva finds Bail Organa's message on Kenobi's transmitter, revealing Luke's location on Tatooine. Absolute lunacy. That Pakistani comedian actor who was playing the fake Jedi, who then joined Kenobi for some reason, and who had Kenobi's transmitter device for some reason that I can't recall. As they were running away, he dropped it on the ground. And then, obviously, after Reva is dying because she had to fight with Vader, then somehow she conveniently sees this on the ground and cared enough to go and open it up. And there's a hologram of Bail Organa talking to his message to Obi-Wan from earlier, just talking about a kid on Tatooine. And that's how the episode ends. And of course, the next episode, spoiler, Reva just appears on Tatooine by some magic that is never explained. And yes, she's not dying anymore, not explained. She got there, no idea how she got there actually, because the ships on one ship flew off and one ship was destroyed by Vader. So I don't know how she left that planet that she was dying on. And I don't know why she cared so much about... Somehow she knew that Luke was Vader's son. So she went all the way to Tatooine to kill Luke, knowing it's Vader's son, even though clearly Vader knows nothing about him. And I've no idea how she knew it was Vader's son. All he said in the message was some kid on Tatooine. He never clarified it was his son or you know, she just knew there was someone on Tatooine somewhere, and she was able to find him somehow that I can't recall. But I do remember she bumped into one of Uncle Owen's friends at some market in Tatooine. But I don't remember at all how she knew which house this son was, or that they were hiding this child. That was bizarre. Bizarre. But that's all the next episode. This was episode 5. Absolute garbage. Look how long this is already. 25 minutes. I thought it was going to be like 10 minutes. Yes, I have nothing good to say about this. The fighting was weird and clunky. The Force abilities are inconsistent. People are coming back from the dead the same episode. Someone's been stabbed and not dying, and who they just leave. And what was the plan between Obi-Wan and Reva? We don't know. Why did he just leave her to fight Vader? Didn't he care? I don't know. The terrible stormtroopers, the self-sacrifice, the flashbacks to the terrible CGI. Farewell, my munchins. Take care, my munchins.